الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. رب اغفر وارحم وتجاوز ما تعلم إنك أنت الأعز الأكرم. Inshallah, quickly we continue with ayah number 4 from Surah An-Nisa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after talk about the marriage, and we saw this in Thursday and also in Saturday, that talking about the marriage is not only just for a desire, but also the marriage has a very great goals. One of the goals is to protect the community, protect the orphan, protect the widows, and this is one of the great roles of the marriage, to keep the community protected and to keep the community supported. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring the verse of التعدد in the context of what? Context of الأورفن فإن خفتم أن لا تقسطوا في اليتامى, and also الأرامل. Aramil in Arabic means the widows. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the ayah after it, when he said وآتوهن, and he talk about sadaqat, what we call it in Arabic as-sadaq. The sadaq is the dowry, the gift of the marriage. And the purpose of the dowry is a very noble purpose. In some communities, they messed up the purpose of the sadaq or the mahar in Arabic, haq mahar in Urdu also, and we call it the dowry. So they take it as a price of something. This is why in some communities, when the women have to pay the mahar to get married, this is one of the biggest jahiliyyah practice. That why my daughter, I have to pay money for my daughters to get married. You give the groom, and this is some Muslim, unfortunately, they learn it from Hindu practice and non-Islamic practice. This is one of the big wrong things. The purpose of the mahar is two things. Of course, to show the commitment from the groom toward the bride by giving this gift, the marriage showing that I'm committed to the marriage, and means I'm not going to get married without anything and come back, divorce and get married again. So the mahar, it has this role to show the commitment, that I am serious about it. So this is why if somebody is able for mahar, and this is why Muslim scholars, they talk about mahar al-mithl. What's mahar al-mithl? Is the dowry that the average, or in the community. The average means you cannot, the majority of the people in your area, of course, as long as it's not too much for the person to, if I'm able, and the average in this community, for example, people pay $5,000. If I have money and they refuse to give mahar al-mithl, Imam Abu Hanifa and most of the scholars, they talk about it. They say you cannot belittle the mahar if you are able to. Why they do this? So the communities in general, they have some reference for the mahar. I remember one time this brother, he's marrying a new convert sister, and he gave her $100. This guy making millions of dollars. I asked him, I never interfere in the mahar, only if I see that something that is not right. I asked him, do you have a sister? He said, yeah. Married? Yes. How much has mahar? He said, the mahar in our family is $5,000, $10,000. I told him, why you are giving this sister regardless? Why are you giving her less? Are you able to pay? Yeah, I have a very good job. And he said they don't understand. She doesn't understand. Means I'm taking advantage of it. I'm not asking you to, but at least something that it's closer to the average in that area, if the people are ability. Or some scholars, will be wrong. Only if especially if the person doesn't know the concept of mahar. So the concept of mahar has, number one, the role, it's to show that I'm committed to this marriage. I'm going to give this mahar, and I'm committed to this marriage. This reason number two for the mahar, it's to empower women in the marriage. Means a lot of sisters for the histories, of course, even before, especially before Islam, they depend financially on their fathers, half of their lives, and the other half on their husbands. So there is no mahar, talking about the jahiliyyah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make the mahar, and the mahar will be paid to the bride herself, not to her family, not to her father. It's haram to take the mahar of the bride, or putting pressure on it, because this money is for her. This is why we don't consider, if somebody put in the mahar umrah, it's not considered. Why? For two reasons. Number one, umrah's value depends. These people go to umrah 20,000, and the people go to the umrah with 3,000, 4,000. So because it's not, the fuqaha, they said, because it's not fixed, the purpose also write it down because of her right. So how are you going to choose the umrah? Some people, they want to show very religious, what they say, umrah or Quran. Quran. If you are able to give Quran, if you are able to give mahar, you have to give mahar. Things that doesn't have values, not spiritual values, but material value. We cannot put it in the mahar. Clear, Brother Samantha? Very good. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Inshallah, he's getting married. Inshallah. May Allah make it easy, make dua for him. So, the purpose number two, that the sister, when she gets married, she has her own financial independency. And has her money. Enter to the marriage with her own money, not her father or her husband money. And this is, of course, has very great impact to the marriage will be balanced. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayah, he said, وَآتُوا, talking about the marriage. So they mention this ayah, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَآتُوا النِّسَاءَ. Atu mean give, النساء, women, your sisters in Islam. وآتوا النساء صدقاتهن. So صدقاتهن is a plural of sadaq. In the fiqh, we don't talk about the word mahar. The old word is sadaq. الصداق المتفق عليه. الصداق is the mahar that give. So نحلة, a gift from good heart. So when you give, of course, we don't want the sadaq, the mahar, to be very high and will be burden. In some communities, they are specialized in making it difficult for the young people to get married by asking a very high sadaq, mahar. And this is against the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and against the tradition of the khulafa. Rasul ﷺ said, as the mahar is easy, this is a sign of barakah for the woman. Again, we don't want no mahar. We don't want the guy who giving $200 when his sister get $10,000. This is against. But at the same time, we don't want people to have another mortgage to pay, and mortgage for the bride. They spend big part of their lives paying, and this is paying the mahar. This is also is not from the sunnah, and we have to be very, very, very careful about. Allah called it nihla, when it means gift with good heart. قال فإن طبن لكم عن شيء. If your wife with a good faith, she help her husband with part of the mahar. Tibna have to be her own decision. Because some community, this is why we stopped mentioning the mahar for two reasons. To don't become showing off and become part of this game. We find out many years ago that some community, everything it's a play, it's a game. There is no mahar, only for the people. I remember, they give big mahar and they acting in front of the people. We give her 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, and there is nothing. It's just for the people to show off, and then she's obligated to pay back, to give back the money. I remember one case here in Northern Virginia. The sister, after they agree about everything is show for the people, she said, I'm not going to give the money back. Everybody calling her names, even though Islamically this is her right. She said, because they mention it, and they accept her to forgive it. This is how they do. We're going to mention $15,000, but you don't ask for the $15,000. You're supposed to forgive your husband. So why, if you know from the beginning that I supposed to forgive him, why you give me the $15,000? Why you mention it in front of the people? Because it's a game. It's showing off, and this is haram. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala insists on طيب خاطر. طيب خاطر means if she's with happiness in her heart. She wants to help her husband. And we know a lot of people, women, in the crisis, they sell their jewelry, they give back the mahar, whatever, to help their husband. But it's not an obligation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قال فَإِن طِبْنَ لَكُمْ. طيب means with good faith and with good feeling. قال فإن طبنا لكم عن شيء منه نفسا, with nafs طيبة, with happy heart, is not forcing on her. فكلوا هنيئا مريئا. Then the money that your wife give to you from her own mahar, it's هنيئا مريئا, you can get without bad feeling. So we learn a few things from this. Number one, and the mahar is conditions of validity. One of the conditions of validity, according to the majority of the scholars, is validity of the nikah, the contract itself. It's not valid without even if it's $1, even if it's $1. Number two, that the mahar, the purpose is noble. We don't want the mahar to be a burden, and we don't want the mahar to have no values. And according to some scholars, of course, the mahar is dain, is a debt. Abu Hanifa, for example, this is why people, they have to understand the difference. For Abu Hanifa, the mahar, he gave permission. The mahar is one values. I can give, for example, say 10,000. I can give 1,000 the day of the nikah, and this is obligatory. You have to be part of the mahar being given, or the marriage is not valid, according to Abu Hanifa. You cannot postpone all of the values. And then you can pay as much as you go. This is, we call it mu'ajjal and mu'ajjal. Deliver and postponed. Some of it you pay it now, some put it there. For Imam Shafi'i, he doesn't have mu'ajjal and mu'ajjal. He has muqaddam and mu'akhar. And muqaddam is the mahar. Mu'akhar in case of divorce that the husband initiated. And this is a big difference. So they don't play the games. They have a case. She been married like 3 times, and all of them the same way. This lady, she's a lawyer, and she knows. And she make money more than all of people. And she put them conditions. 100,000, 150, 70,000, very high. Mu'akhar, in case of divorce. And she initiated the divorce or put pressure on the man until he divorced her. This is completely different. But if the husband freely decide to divorce the woman with no reason, he has to pay the mu'akhar, according to Imam Shafi'i. And the mu'akhar, it's not a debt. So they have muqaddam is the mahar, and mu'akhar is in case of divorce, may Allah forbid. The third case is the Maliki, and this is what used to happen in the time of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is no muqaddam, no mu'akhar, no mu'ajjal, no mu'ajjal. Whatever you are able to, you have to pay at one time, and this is the. So later on came the concept of mu'ajjal postponed, and then came the muqaddam and mu'akhar. But in general, it's the. So according to the Hanafi, it's a debt. If the husband died, and the mahar is not paid all the first, you have to pay the debt, including the mahar. So it's debt. You have it's responsible. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned here, if the wives freely with no pressure decided to give the mahar freely to support her husband, alhamdulillah, hani'an mari'an, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, enjoy it with no feel of guilt or anything. But if they are not, then we have problems. It's force, kind of force, and this is haram, of course, because the mahar belongs to the bride. It's not belong to the husband or anything, and this is the purpose of it. So the purpose of the mahar, to conclude, it's a noble purpose. It's not to show off. It's not price for anything. It's to support, to show the commitment, and to support the wife. So they have some of the conclude of the story. In some West Africa tradition, very important. I said it before. They give a cow to as a mahar, and this cow, as many people they share with us, it's a small business. They say there is Muslim women in West Africa, in Senegal, and many other areas there. They build a big wealth from this cow. They take care of it. Cow give milk and give babies, and they start building. And mashallah, and so one of the brothers here said, I'm going to give you cow. I told him, if you give cow, you have to give her a farm with it. She's not going to raise the cow in the apartment. So she can take care of this, inshallah. May Allah bless us, and everything in Islam, really it has a noble purpose. It's not, and we have to be careful from the jahiliyyah, using the mahar from jahiliyyah point, not from Islamic point. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. إن شاء الله, alhamdulillah, Dr. Alwi is doing better. His information, I think, the room, and he's in resting. We didn't go yet. Anybody visit him? I think room number 4. Let me number 11. Okay. I'm going to just to be sure. He sent okay, here. Yeah, alhamdulillah. So he's room number 11. If anyone, he said he want to visit after 4 p.m. in Reston Hospital, inshallah. Inshallah, make dua, inshallah, for full recovery for him. Inshallah, Allahumma shfihi fa anta shafi wa afihi fa anta al-muafi. Allahumma shifaan la yughadiru saqama. Allahumma rabban nas idhhab al-bas ishfi fa anta shafi. لا شفاء إلا شفاءك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم يا رب العالمين اشفه شفاء تاما كاملا بفضلك ونعمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم عافه واشفه يا رب العالمين بنعمتك وفضلك يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. وصلى اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاكم الله خيرا.